Good evening. Welcome you all to learn everything you need to know about the tech startup industry. Do you eager to know opportunities and trends in the tech startup ecosystem and how to get support to pave your path inside the industry? Today, here we'll discuss the recent trends in the tech startup industry, the opportunities in the local and the international markets, as well as the support that they can get from the government and non-governmental bodies in forming development of their company. And also, the industry has gained as well as it would be motivating for them to know the opportunities and the returns in coming into the industry, forming their own company. Warmly welcome Mr. Achala Veerasurya, who accepted our invitation today and joined us. He is the Chief Operations Officer in Live Group Private Limited and had been in industry since 2016. He has had the chance to grow with the company locally as well as internationally, where he got the chance to represent the Sri Lanka delegate at international conferences, exhibitions such as Mobile World Congress in Barcelona and Spain. Not only that, he was a part of the market access program conducted by EU International Trade Center together with EDB in training SME to reach European markets for ITO BPO exports. So this is the chance for our guest speaker, Mr. Achala Veerasurya. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Diniti. Uh, uh, First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for today's session. And as Diniti correctly explained, today we'll be discussing about the recent trends in the industry as well as how to form a company and how to basically go about making your own company, own startup in the industry, and how to get the support that you actually require. Um, I do have a small set of slides that I have prepared that I would like to show to you and take you through them. So if I can get the access to share my screen, then that will be great, I think.
Solution, madam. Give us a second.
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me, sir. I hope you can share the screen now. Can you please try?
Let me check. Yes, thank you very much. I hope all of you can see my screen now.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Sure. So, okay, so again, thank you very much for inviting me today. And today at this event, today's session, I will be talking about the opportunities and trends in the tech startup ecosystem, and how you can form your own company, and how to get the required support that you need to get to form your company and to get your goals. So my name is Achala Virasure. I'm the Chief Operations Officer of Liveroom Private Limited. Before I go into the set of slides that I have prepared, I would like to give a small motivational tip here as well. Um, when you talk about startups in Sri Lanka and the successful startups in Sri Lanka, basically, uh, this particular company that I am representing, Liveroom Private Limited, is also a startup company which was formed back in 2015. This is the interesting part, by a couple of graduates who actually graduated from University of Moratua. And this company is actually an extension of their final year product, where they actually improved their final year product and commercialized that. And currently, down the line for 5 years now, we have been catering the local market as well as the global market. And that includes Europe, USA, Singapore, Australia, so on and so forth. So basically all over the world, we are catering right now. And so I think I need to specifically mention that before I go into the set of slides that I have prepared, so that you know that there's a capability there. There's proven use cases where this actually startup industry is potential, and that you can actually grow up in this industry. Moving on, first of all, I'll be focusing this discussion mostly from the graduates' point of view, for the easiness of explaining actually, but I think this is common for graduates, postgraduates, and everybody that who wants to start their own company. So basically what happens is there's thousands and thousands of graduates who are coming out of higher education institutes, government universities, private universities, whatever it is. There are thousands and thousands of IT related, computer science or IT or software engineering or whatever, the IT related graduates who are actually coming out to the industry or the society. So basically when they come out to the society, what happens is they majorly go to a certain set of paths. So it can be higher studies. If you are a graduate and if you want to do your higher studies, then after you graduate, you will focus on that and you will go in that path. Or there's a certain percentile in that, a certain percentage. There's a huge percentage of graduates who will actually go for interviews, apply for job interviews, and go for job placements that are already existing in the market. And maybe they make it up their own, and do it as a job. Or else there's another certain percentage of graduates who are actually migrating out of Sri Lanka and go to other countries and do jobs or whatever it is, do higher studies, do jobs, whatever it is. Anyway, they migrate out of Sri Lanka. And then there's another percentage. I'm not saying that this percentage is a huge percentage, but still there's a certain percentage of people who actually do their own thing. What do I mean by do their own thing? Is that they can actually start their own company, they can do freelancing. Basically, they be their own boss. So there's a certain percentile of people who will actually focus on being their own boss and doing their own thing. So in today's session, what my idea is to focus on that set. I don't want to necessarily take you out of, if you are actually if you are actually in either of these sets, in doing higher studies or being employed at another company or trying to migrate, I don't want to take you out of that, but still I want to show you the opportunities and the potential where Sri Lanka actually has, to actually do your own thing as well. So you can actually do it parallelly while doing your higher studies or being employed at another company or being abroad or whatever it is, you can do it parallelly, or you can take the risk and do it fully focused. So let's move on to talk about tech startups. Basically, startup is actually a unique service or a product that is being catered to a market. It can be a public, general public, or it can be another business. So it should be a unique service or product. That's the basic definition of a startup. So we are very much focusing toward tech startups. So that means technology is also infused into it. So it's a technology product or service which is unique. So this other word, so I have covered the unique word, the service word, the product word, and the technology word. And there's another word that is actually left here. That is entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is actually the person who actually does this. So I didn't put the word founder here because I did not want you to frame yourself into a role of a founder and to just uh, find your own company and just establish it and then put your feet up and just stay. It's not what an entrepreneur is. Entrepreneur is a person who actually take the risk, who actually take the chances, and who actually explores in different fields, different disciplines. Say for example, you can be a person who actually has a passion about IoT as well as computer graphics development. So you can form a company, you have a better idea, you can form a company in the segment of IoT, and you can bring it up to a level where where that particular company can sustain on its own, and then you start to focus on your graphics passion, and you form another company or another arm of that particular company to cater to the computer graphics segment. So entrepreneur is that person. Entrepreneur is that person who actually does not limit themselves to one thing, but explores the opportunities in various different fields of their own passion. So that is what basically a tech startup is: a unique service or product, a technology service or product that is being found by an entrepreneur, being catered to the general public or a business. So when you build a company or a startup, there's a huge role or huge section that you actually have to play for your company to be able to be on its own and sustain on its own. So first thing is that you need to come up with an idea, because in the previous slide I told you it's a unique product or an idea. Why it's a keyword there. Unique is a keyword there. So to be unique, you need to come up with an idea. So this does not necessarily mean that you will have to spend 10-15 hours sitting at one place looking at a piece of paper and try to put an idea up. It's not that. So ideas can actually come to you whatever the time during the day or night, even when you're sleeping or even when you're attending your day-to-day work, ideas can come to you. Say for example, I know for certain that if when you're walking on the road, 99% of the time you're not focusing on anything on the road, you will be in your imaginary worlds. So at those times also you will be getting different ideas to your head. Maybe you will think why this is possible, or you will think why this has not been done, or you will think something like this can be done. So those kinds of ideas will actually cross your minds throughout the day. I know from throughout the day in my mind I actually cross upon millions of ideas. So when you cross upon an idea, the usual scenario is that if somebody has not already done it, but what you basically think is that if somebody has not already done it, then that is something that you can't do. You automatically assumes that, and you just throw away your idea and just you go about your day-to-day work. So what I think is that you need to change that, where you actually come up with an idea and just, rather than just going ahead and throwing that idea away thinking that it's a useless idea, you can actually criticize your own idea. You can actually uh, try to defend your own idea. Basically, uh, think about questions that other people might ask if you come up with this idea. Think about the scenarios that might arise, or think about the problems that you might have to face. And you actually basically criticize your idea, and you, in my words, what you do there is you actually foolproof your idea. So basically you foolproof your idea so that you can actually present this idea to some people. So you get an idea, you criticize your idea yourself, you foolproof your idea, then you have a good idea that you can actually present to other people. So then you have skipped the ideation, then you have actually passed the ideation stage. So now you have a good idea. Then you don't just go ahead with your idea and you don't just put it into the market, and you will not definitely earn anything out of the market, or you will not go anywhere. So before that, as the second stage, you need to do a validation or a market research on that. So how do you do the validation? You pitch your idea to you. Actually, it's not necessarily strictly focused or strictly restricted to these particular methodologies. There'll be more and more methodologies or more and more ways that you can actually validate your idea or do a market research on that. But for example, you can actually give a basic understanding of your broad idea to some tech people, and you can select a set of non-tech people. You can select another set of people who will actually be the customers of this particular idea if that is being commercialized. So you can actually pitch this idea, not the detailed idea, just a broad idea. You can pitch to them and see what they think about it, whether they see that it's a potential or viable idea, whether they have questions on it, or whether they'll attack you on that and say that this is not going to work because of these things. And or else you can go to market research, such as doing surveys, stuff like that, and you collect data. So based on those questions, based on those data that you got, you can actually improve your idea. So if when you pass the second stage, you have a confident idea where you can actually stand behind. That's the most important thing. So if you have the idea and if you have validated the idea, you should be able to stand behind that idea and defend your idea. Basically, you should be confident about your idea or your business model or the business plan that it's going to work. And you should be able to convince the other people. As long as you are confident and you know that it's going to work, then you can easily convince the other people. Then step 3 is actually finding resources. Finding resources is basically where you actually, if I put it in another words, it's basically finding co-founders. Like if it's a technology product, because we are talking about technology startups here, it's a technology product or a service that you have an idea about. So you need, either you have to develop it on your own, or else you need to find some people who actually can develop it. Or maybe you have knowledge of a certain field and you have another person, you know another person who actually have a better knowledge than you in a certain other field that actually relates to the idea that you are going to make it. So you need to get the help of that person. So what you need to consider here is that when you are finding for a co-founder, or if you are finding for a co-founder, rather, if you are looking for a co-founder, if you are looking for resources that can actually help you in uh, development of this particular product or service, you need to make sure that their intentions are also clear and that they are also on the same page as you. They need to match with your chemistry. They need to have the interest of this particular idea being a commercialized idea. They need to see that this idea is potentially viable and feasible, and they need to believe as much as you do on this particular idea. That's an important thing, because if you do not select that kind of a person, or if you select a person who actually does not believe in this idea and just for the sake of uh, uh, being called up to help you, just coming and help, I personally don't believe that it's going to work in the long run. So there's another thing that you need to focus when you're selecting the resources or utilizing the resources. Now you have a strong idea, you have validated that, you have found the necessary resources. Now what you have to do is you have to do a POC or an MVP. What is a POC? Is that it's a proof of concept. Proof of concept is basically you develop a basic system or a product and show that your idea is feasible. It's technically feasible and that it can be done, it can be commercialized, and it can be put out in the market and the people can actually use it. Or an MVP. MVP is actually minimum viable product. Minimum viable product is that you develop a product, you develop the product with the most basic functionalities and put it out to the market and test it in the real market. You give it to the real people, you sell it to the real people, and you try to gather the data from them. So that's POC or MVP. So after you finish that stage, you have a strong set of data that you can improve your idea or product based upon. So you have created the idea, validated, got the resources, you have done the POC or the MVP, and you have improved your product so that it's commercially viable. Then you can easily go to the commercializing stage. So I know you think right now you think that it's a huge load of work that you have to do, and you have to put a huge effort on that. Yes, it's true that you have to put effort, you have to put money, you have to put time into this, and that's the basic reason why the percentage of people who actually try to do their own thing after they being graduated is very less than the people who are actually going for jobs. They are not ready to take that risk. So what I am trying to do here today is to show you the real scenario there. Yes, you have to put some effort there, but still the risk is worth taking it. So that's the goal of this presentation. So right now, I believe that you have an understanding of how to get an idea and how to come up to the stage of commercializing it. So a little bit of motivation here. So I'm pretty sure that you know about Elon Musk. Everybody has heard about Elon Musk, and you know him as the founder of Tesla and founder of SpaceX and many companies. And he is actually right now hand in hand with Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon, for the richest person in the world. So how did he start? Why did I choose him here? Is that I want to give you an understanding of the word entrepreneur, and that entrepreneur is not limited to a certain one field, and that they can actually explore in different fields, and that you can actually gain something from being an entrepreneur, and you can actually be a successful person in that. So this particular person, Elon Musk, how he started was he actually created this game called Blaster when he was 12 years old, and he actually sold it to a magazine for $500. So that's the first point where he understood that he can do something and that he is worth of doing something, and he can make something that other people want to buy from them, or that they can actually cater to a market. That's the point that he understood that. So as a second stage, what he did was he borrowed 28,000 US dollars from his father, and he started the company called Zip2. And his brother, Kimball Musk, was also a part of this. So both of them together started the company called Zip2. So this Zip2 company was sold to Compaq Computers for $307 million. It was in 1999. So they sold Zip2 to Compaq Computers for $307 million. So he borrowed $28,000 from his father, and by 1999, he was able to make that 28,000 worth 307 million. So from this deal, he actually got 22 million to his own. So what he did was he did not stop from there. He invested more than half of that 22 million he got, that is more than 11 million, and he co-founded a company called X.com. So this X.com later actually merged with its rival company, and then rebranded as PayPal. And Elon Musk was the major shareholder there. So now see how he started. He started from a game, sold it to a magazine, He started another web startup company, which is a travel guide. He sold it to Compaq Computers. Then he came into online banking and the fintech sector, basically. So he has moved away from his gaming sector. He has moved to web startups. Then he has moved to uh, fintech. And in 2002, the fintech company, which is the PayPal company, was bought by eBay for $180 million. So see how he converted his 11 million that he invested in 1999 by 2002 to become 180 million. So after that, he founded SpaceX by investing 100 million US dollars. So likewise, you see that this particular person who is an entrepreneur is not limited to a certain segment. He has the passion in different segments. So he explores one by one. So he explores one by one. He makes it up one by one, and uh, he tries to live his life, meeting his passions one by one. So he started with a game company. He went to a travel guide web startup. Then he went on to fintech. Then he went on to SpaceX, which is a space exploring company. Then he founded Tesla, which is an electric car company. Then he founded another company called, this is actually an interesting fact. Uh, when you become an entrepreneur, you can actually basically do whatever you want. It does not mean that necessarily that you can break the law or do anything like that, but you can basically do whatever you want. So Elon Musk legitimately incorporated a company called the Boring Company. Under Elon Musk's companies, there's a company called the Boring Company. So under this Boring Company, he actually developed a flamethrower weapon, and he actually sold it to the general public, and it was legitimately named as flamethrower. So when he was this is actually also an interesting story, uh, which is a quite famous story, where he had some problems with different custom agents, where when he was couriering or shipping these flamethrower weapons. So the customs agent had the problem with the name flamethrower, because it was flamethrower. They were not allowed to enter into a certain country or a state or whatever it is. So what he did was he rebranded his weapons under the name not a flamethrower. He just added the prefix not, and he actually made it through the customs, it says. So basically, you see how small decisions or how small changes and how to adapt to situations. That is also something that you will have to have within yourself and making the right decisions in growing in this industry. Uh, yeah, that is about Elon Musk. Okay, so let's start to talk about the ecosystem in Sri Lanka. Now that you are very much motivated to be like Elon Musk, let's talk about the industry or the ecosystem in Sri Lanka, so that you will be getting an understanding of where you are going to step into. So basically, Sri Lankan startup ecosystem value has increased by more than 4 times in the past 2 years. That is from 5.4 billion to 21.8 billion rupees. The ecosystem has been improved. So Sri Lanka is actually ranked at #1 for affordable talent in Asia Pacific region. So let's go to this link and I will show you some details there as well. This site is called Startup Genome. You can actually visit the site and see it for yourself. See why you should invest in Sri Lanka. This total early stage funding, global average is 431 million, and in Sri Lanka, it's around 50 million US dollars. And ecosystem value in Sri Lanka is rated at 117 million. So the global value is 10.5 billion. From 10.5 billion, 117 million is at Sri Lanka. So subsector strength, these are the most segments, most viable segments when it comes to the Sri Lankan ecosystem. That is e-commerce. In e-commerce also, e-commerce sales and services estimated at 40 million US dollars and expected to grow to 400 million by 2022. So you see there'll be a huge growth in the next 2 years from 40 million to 400 million. Also, PicMe, a ride-hailing company, raised 2.5 million from International Finance Corporations in 2018. So PicMe is actually a startup started from Sri Lanka, and that actually was able to raise 2.5 million from International Finance Corporations in 2016. So that proves that we have the capability, we have the potential to reach the global level and to get investments from the global level as well. Apart from ecosystem, apart from e-commerce, the next segment is fintech. So fintech is also another segment where most of the corporations, most of the big companies are focusing towards, so that the startup ideas or the startup companies who are actually seeing light in the fintech industry are actually making huge money, and they are being successful, and they are growing very fast. So again, research to move your startup Sri Lanka. This is actually very much focused to the international audience for them to motivate them to come to Sri Lanka. But you also can be motivated by these details. Median seed rounds, that is average amounts of investments that you might be able to get. That is around 53,000 US dollars. Series A rounds, you will be able, the average is around 0.94 million. So the global average also you will be able to see here. And the software engineer salary global average is 42.1, and in Sri Lanka it's around 3,000 US dollars. So you get the idea there also. Also, Sri Lankan government introduced 0% tax on IT companies. So that means from the government also you have a huge support for the IT and ITO sector, where you will be able to pitch your idea and put your idea into the market and make it your own thing. Yeah, basically about that. And let's move on to, that is about the ecosystem in Sri Lanka, where you will actually get an understanding of the mostly valuable segments or mostly viable segments in Sri Lanka, which are e-commerce and fintech. But then again, there are other segments. It does not necessarily mean that you will have to focus on fintech and e-commerce, even though the next 2 years seems to be the best ones for e-commerce and fintech. Down the line, it can be different ones, but still, the important thing is that you need to have a viable idea. You need to be able to put it out in the market, and you need to be able to make a good commercialized product out of it. So not just e-commerce and fintech, you have augmented reality, virtual reality like segments, IoT, AI, machine learning like segments. So those segments can also be explored. Those segments can also be infused into the idea that you have, and put it out there, because all those segments do have a potential here in Sri Lanka. Be it agri-tech, be it augmented reality, virtual reality, visualization side, graphic side, or be it IoT, anything and everything. I can give you 100 millions of examples where Sri Lankan people have found companies related to those segments, and they made it to big companies right now. Moving on, startups in Sri Lanka. There's actually a national online platform for startups in Sri Lanka. You can actually visit this website and get some details as well. This is actually a website that is under ICTA, which is the Information Communications Technology Agency of Sri Lanka, which is a governmental organization who actually looks into the IT segment of the government of Sri Lanka. It's called startupsl.lk. You can visit the site and see the services and what are the opportunities that you have here. And there's also a portal where you can actually get on board with your startup after you incorporate that, and you can go for partnerships with them, market access, financing, all the services they will be providing to you. So you can visit the site and see as well. See see, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just e-commerce and fintech. You see, the government is also looking for agri-tech segment. So uh, it means that it's not necessarily limited or restricted to a certain segments or disciplines, or as long as your idea is viable and as long as your idea is able to be commercialized, and as long as your idea actually solves a problem that is already existing, then you will be able to create a successful company. So through this ICTA startup SL thing, right now 448 startups have been incorporated, and 21 ecosystem partners. See, for example, the startup categories that they have: fintech, educational, e-commerce, agri-tech, travel, other ones. So you can visit these sites and get some information on that as well. Uh, let's talk about some companies, startup companies actually, who have been started in Sri Lanka and have been made it to the global level and cater to a huge market segment right now. So Pickme, obviously you know Pickme. Pickme turned out to be a huge company. It was started back in the day, but it was not very long ago. It's still a young company, but still they were able to make it on their own, and they were able to be a huge company, get investments from locals, get investment from foreign companies of financial agents, and be a recognized name in the international market as well. Then Pay Here. So Pickme is actually a travel related company. Pay Here is a fintech company, uh, which is also a company who very recently uh, crossed their 1 billion Sri Lankan rupees transactions border very recently. So it's also a company, a Sri Lankan company, startup company, and they were also very successful. Then Wow.lk, you know, it's an e-commerce company. It was actually bought by Dialog recently and now operates under Dialog. So Liveroom, the company that I'm representing in the graphics segment, computer graphics related software development in augmented reality, virtual reality, and in that segment. So we are also catering to the global market, and we have also in the past few years, just during 5 years of time, were able to grow the company to a huge level. So the potential is there, the opportunities are there. It's just the matter of that you take the risk and go. So startupranking.com, which is also another website, you can also visit that and see the number of startups that is actually there in Sri Lanka, and the total worth of it, basically. Ikman.lk, Pay Here, Vasi.lk, IdeaBeam. Most of these companies, you know from the name itself. When you hear the name, you know the companies, you know what they are doing. So that means even Find My Fair is also a startup. So you know what they're doing, you know how big they are, you know their segment of market. You also might be customers of them. So you know that it's a startup company. They have made it on their own. They have made it to the global level. They are catering to a huge market and they are successful. So that should automatically motivate you to, step into this industry, step into the market, and try to bring your idea to life. So you can visit this site also, and you can see the companies, their rankings, basically what they do, Sri Lankan ranking and everything, and you will get an idea of how this actually plays. Moving forward, it's not just local companies. You don't have to just be a local company. You don't have to create a company and cater to the local market and then stop it from there. You can actually go to the global market as well. So I selected this article to show you this. Zoom, which is actually the platform that we are using today for this particular session as well. Zoom was not a big company back in the day before 2019. It was considerably big, but still it was not a huge hit back in the day. But when the pandemic hit, it actually here in 2020, revenue 2.65 billion, up by 326%. That means it was way less than that in 2019. And 2021, they have forecast 3.76 billion to 3.78 billion. That is up by 42 to 43% from 2020 revenue. So if we compare it to 2019 revenue, it will be more than that. And the stock price, it's up by 191. So you see, there's a potential, there's an opportunity for each and every company, depending on the situations, depending on the global economic situations, other global, other reasons and stuff like that. You will grow, or else you will get a good client base and you will grow. So you have the opportunity there as well. So apart from that, there are some other companies who have made it throughout the global level. DoorDash, again, another company who has improved their revenue by 226% from 2019 to 2020. Peloton, again, up by 139%. Snowflake, 124%. So read these kinds of articles so you will get an understanding of how this market segment is actually working, and that you also have the potential, or basically you will see that some of these ideas you also might have had along down the line, and you also might have thought that these ideas might not work, or the people might not need these type of ideas. For example, if you were thinking about, a communication platform like Zoom, you must have thought, okay, there are 101 communication platforms like Skype and Slack and everything. Why do you need another one? So it's not going to work. But it's not. It has not been the case. So that's why I said that every idea is actually valuable, and all the ideas that you get, you need to be able to stand behind them. And if so, and if you are confident on that, then you will be definitely able to make it up your own. After talking about the revenue increases of those global companies, let's talk about what you can actually get in terms of money and in terms of monetary value in Sri Lanka, because you are obviously going to start your company in Sri Lanka and then grow to the global level. So Sri Lanka, actually, this is a government thing. The first point is a government target actually, where they want to gain a foreign revenue of US dollars 5 billion from the IT and ITO sector in the coming year. So that's one of their target. Right now it's around 2 billion, I think. I can't exactly remember, but it's something around 2 billion. And they want to increase it up to 5 billion in 1 year. They know, because they know the government as well as ICTA / COMFITIS, like organizations, they do know that there's a potential in Sri Lanka where, with the pandemic situation and with the other situations that are arising, this sector can be improved, and this sector has a huge viability of improvement. So they are targeting to get $5 billion of foreign revenue from that. So they are working towards that, and all the companies, be it government or private, they are also working towards that target. They also want to increase their revenue. They also want to reach outreach global clients. So as we speak, all the IT and ITO companies, the tech companies in Sri Lanka are trying to go to that particular target. Apart from that, huge corporations are starting to invest in startups because they have seen the value of startups, and they have seen the potential ideas coming up from young people like you, and they want to, for them to be able to sustain in the industry and them to be able to uh, stay in the business. They understand that they need to improve as well. So the improvement actually comes through the startup ideas that the locals actually give. So because of that, these corporations are hugely investing in startups. So for example, June Kills X is a startup competition done by June Kills Holdings. Startup X Foundry is another thing. Hema Slingshot. So likewise, there are huge corporations who are actually investing in startup ideas and wants startups to come up, and they support the startups to grow. And because they know that it's a huge thing. It's a potential thing that can be grown in the Sri Lankan soil. Apart from that, many angel investment opportunities, like you have enough and more investors, local investors, foreign investors who are interested to invest in startup companies in Sri Lanka. For example, there's a Lanka Angel Network is one of the examples like that, where angel investors have get together and formed a society there, where they actually together invest in startup ideas, they together invest in startup companies, and mentor them, help them to grow, help them to reach globally, the international market, the local market, and to basically be a good company, or a company that actually makes money. Apart from that, Sri Lanka do have access to global events of funding. For example, SeedStars. SeedStars is actually a global investing competition, where we in Sri Lanka also there's a separate competition for that. From that, we select one company in Sri Lanka to send them to the global level, and they get to pitch to global investors there, and they get to be invested by the global investor. They get to reach global investors, and they get to uh, uh, basically get investments to their companies. So apart from that, you can get recognitions through many other award ceremonies. For example, if you go to NBQSA, if you get selected from NBQSA, then you will be selected to the Asia Pacific region, and you will be able to go to that competition. From that, you will be able to go to the global levels of competition, and you will get the recognition. You will be able to showcase your ideas. You will be able to showcase your products. You will be able to find customers there, the exposure that you need from there. So likewise, the opportunity is already readily available. Apart from that, one more important thing is that Sri Lanka is actually proven to be a great test bed for tech products. So if you have a tech product or service, which is a unique idea, which is something that has not been done before, Sri Lanka is actually proven to be one of the best places to utilize as a test market. So you can test your product, the viability, the feasibility of the product, or to improve that, whatever it is, you can test it in Sri Lanka. You can use the market in Sri Lanka to test it, and you can improve their product and then reach the global level with the improved product. So likewise, there's opportunity in the when you talk monetary wise, there's a huge opportunity, as well as from the uh, testing or the product improvement wise also, you have the opportunity here in Sri Lanka. So likewise, opportunity is there. What you have to do is you have to grab it and run with it. That's the most important thing, whether you are capable enough to grab it and run with it, or else just to leave the opportunity and you go about your way. That's your decision. So where to get support? So as uh, as we mentioned in the previous description before we start this, uh, the support you can actually get from different sectors. For example, one is government sector. So for example, in government sector, there are government funded organizations, government funded programs. Likewise, there are a segment in the government itself where it actually supports the startups ecosystem in Sri Lanka. This ICTA, or the Information Communication Technology Agency, of which what I showed the website earlier, startupsl.lk. You have a platform, or you have a program under ICTA, which is called Spiralation, uh, which is funding startups to be a company, and to come up as a company, and to reach the market segments that they want to reach. And so you can actually enroll in programs such as Spiralation and ICTA, and you can go for global events, you can go for local events, you can pitch, you can make connections, you can pitch to investors, you can pitch to companies, and basically you can do a lot of things there. So one side note there, I think Spiralation is right now accepting for this year 2021 funding rounds. They are accepting applications until 4th of May, I think. So if you can go to ICTA social media pages or their website, you will be able to see those notifications and try to make use of those notifications. The opportunity is there that you can actually go for them. Apart from that, EDB, which is the Export Development Board of Sri Lanka, they are also like, as I explained earlier, the government actually has the target of going to 5 billion US dollars foreign revenue from this sector. So EDB is the major governmental organization who are actually trying to work towards that, mainly focused on the export segment. And they do have a separate IT related or tech related portion of them where they help the tech companies and IT related companies to uh, provide their services or the product to the global market and to gain revenue from that. Apart from that, FITIS like organizations are also there who actually have different chapters to cater to your different segments or the disciplines that your startup is related to. Apart from that, private sector also has that Startup X Foundry, Hatch. Likewise, you have different organizations or different societies that the private sector have put together to incubate startups, to support startups, to invest in startups. Likewise, you have enough and more opportunities there as well. The most important one is mentors. Mentors is you don't mentors does not necessarily mean that you will have to find big names in the industry. Even uh, you graduates from your university who have made their own company and who have been able to reach the global market can be a successful or a valuable mentor to you. Likewise, you will be able to find mentors everywhere, and I know for a fact that mentors in Sri Lanka does not, try to demean you at anything at any cost. They will try to support you the level best that they can, because they know that the potential is there, and they know the thought process, or they know the feeling that they get when something of their own has been done and something of their own has been recognized in the international market. So they want to give that experience to the youngsters who wants to make it on their own. So definitely they will also support you no matter what. It's just a matter of you reaching out to them, look, finding about their details, and just reach out to them and directly ask the support from them. They will definitely support you, and they will definitely guide you to whoever the people who actually you want to meet, or the network connections that they have to find the companies or the clients that you want to reach. Likewise, also you will be able to get the support from them. So actually, mentors plays a huge role in getting support in making your own startup. Apart from that, you can actually utilize different platforms to showcase your product or service. This can be this slide is particularly focusing on the local market segment, where there are different platforms that have been created. Disrupt Asia is actually a exhibition done by ICTA to showcase the talents. It's basically conference like thing where you will be able to exhibit your products or services. You will be able to meet people. You will be able to meet giants in tech industry. They will deliver talks. You will be able to get inspired from their talks. You will be able to have panel discussions with them. You will be able to have B2B meetings with other companies, potential clients of yours. Likewise, it's a community platform where uh, it is very much focused for the tech startup industry. The Spiralation program I explained earlier, it is also under ICTA. It's a startup funding program where you will be able to get support for your startup. Apart from that, NBQSA award ceremony, where you will be able to get the recognition that you require. And mind you, these recognitions like NBQSA, Iswabimani, CSSL, whatever it is, these recognitions plays a huge role when you go and pitch your company to a client or an investor. Because when you pitch to your company to a client or an investor, what they look for is the commercial viability of the product, as well as whether this product has been accepted by the other people. So to showcase that your product is accepted by the other people and that your product actually stands out, you can actually use these awards and the recognitions that you get from those competitions that you participate to. So it's a important thing that you participate in these kinds of competitions and recognition events, and getting the exposure that you need. ISO Abhimani National ICT Awards. Likewise, you have different awards. Just these are not all the platforms or award ceremonies that are here in Sri Lanka. You can just Google it and see also. These are a few major ones that I selected here so that you can start from here, and you can build up your way throughout the segment. And globally as well, you just don't have to focus on the local level and let it be. You can go to the global level as well. So if you enroll in platforms like Spiralation with ICTA or Slash.com, or if you get on board with EDB in the Young Exporters program. Likewise, there are different programs that you can enroll yourself or enroll your company into, and then through that you can reach the global level as well. So through Spiralation, there's a delegate each and every year. They are actually taking a delegate of at least 10 companies from Sri Lanka to Mobile World Congress and 4YFN. Mobile World Congress is the world's biggest tech conference, one of the world's biggest tech conferences that is happening in February and March of each and every year in Barcelona, Spain. And 4YFN is the startup segment of Mobile World Congress, which means 4 years from now. That is for the startup companies who actually have a huge potential in growing. They actually filter and select for this exhibition. And if you are able to reach this exhibition, then that means you will get a huge exposure, because these conferences are global conferences, and that they are the biggest conferences in the world. The participation of people are really huge. Like you will meet more than 100,000 people per day, each and every day that you're there. So you will definitely get the exposure. You will definitely make new connections. Your network will definitely expand, and you will be able to get a good output from that. Apart from that, again, CBT is also another tech-related exhibition, which is also a big exhibition. Japan IT Week, GITEX in Dubai. Likewise, there are enough and more opportunities, enough and more global events, local events that you can take part, that you can showcase your product, that you can make the network connections. So making network connections, getting the exposure are two important things if you are going to build up your own business, because through the networks and by getting the exposure only, that you will be able to grow your company. Apart from that, I know that you will also have problems like this. Intellectual property rights. If you have a unique idea or a product, then you will think that somebody might steal that idea or product. So for that also, there's this website that you can visit, NIPO, nipo.gov.lk, National Intellectual Property Office. So in Intellectual Property Office, what they do is they cater for intellectual property rights claiming for integrated circuits, patents, trademarks, copyrights, industrial designs, geographical indications. Likewise, so National Intellectual Property Office is very much focused towards the intellectual properties of within Sri Lanka, but through them you can actually reach the global ones as well. So if you want to reach out to these people, and so basically the easiest, to be honest, the easiest mode to reach out to these ones is to actually get involved and get enrolled to programs like Spiralation, Young Exporters programs and stuff like that. And through them, you will definitely get a huge exposure or a connection support to easily get through these IP rights and patents. So basically, that's about it. And so I think you got an understanding of how this startup ecosystem works in Sri Lanka, the potential of it, and the opportunities that you have in Sri Lankan startup ecosystem, and the space that you have to do your thing and make it on your own and make it to the global level, not just the local level, reach to the global market and to cater to the global market and to bring up your own brain child, uh, uh, or the dream of yours to a reality. So I'll leave you with a quote here. There's no shortage of remarkable ideas. What's missing is the will to execute them. So as long as you are confident about your idea, as long as you can stand behind your idea, and as long as you believe in your idea, you can execute it. You can take the risk and execute it. And if you execute it right, and if you execute it well, then you will definitely be the next Elon Musk in this country. So that's all that I wanted to talk to you about. I hope that you got an understanding about this ecosystem. And in case if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My email address is there, and my LinkedIn username is also there. There you can freely reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to assist you. I will be more than happy to guide you, and I will be more than happy to let you know anything if I know anything about this industry or anything related to what you want to know. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for participating. And yeah, I think that's about it from my side.
This is the time for questions. Are there any questions that you have? Please raise your voice.
Mr. Achala, can you share the website links with us, like through an email or something?
Yes, I will share the slide deck with your team, and
Yeah,
you will be able to get the whole slide deck yourself, and the links will be included in that.
yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Okay, seems to be no questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Achala Veerasurya, for joining us today and helping us to expand our knowledge by telling us many things we do not know. You have the experience and training on pitching, tech competitions, business negotiations, market identification, and product service placement. So thanks again for sharing your experiences as well. And thank you all who participated so eager to know the unknown. Thank you everyone. Good night.
Thank you very much.